Now, I know what you're going to say. That's a castle. Well, technically, it's a keep. The tallest, strongest, and most fortified part of a medieval castle. And while it looks like a defensive powerhouse, all fixed stone and narrow windows, it wasn't just about fighting. In fact, in most castles, it was a lot more domestic than you think. Because the truth is, a keep was more than just a stronghold. It was a symbol, a residence, and also a last resort, and sometimes a bit of a medieval showing off, shall we say. Keeps started appearing in Britain shortly after the Norman conquest of 1066. The Normans brought with them a new style of fortification, the Motte and Bailey Castle, pretty much a wooden tower on a man-made hill. But wood burns and rots, so by the 1100s, many lords began replacing the wood with stone keeps, like that. Imposing towers, sometimes up to 100 feet high, with walls several metres thick. They were usually the first part of a stone castle to be built, and often the last place you'd want to be during a siege. Spiral staircases go clockwise up. That's not a design choice, that's warfare, because most attackers would be right-handed. Swinging a sword in a tight clockwise stairwell puts them at a disadvantage. Meanwhile, the defenders coming down had plenty of room to fight, and that's how you'd get right to the top there. Everything about a keep was designed with defence in mind. Well, almost everything. Despite the military focus, keeps were also homes, often for the lord and their family. This meant that they needed more than battlements. They needed bedrooms, halls, chapels, fireplaces, latrines, and yes, even windows, which makes them actually surprisingly vulnerable. A siege wouldn't always start with battering rams and trebuchets. It might just begin by cutting off the water supply. That's why many keeps had their own wells, hidden deep inside, so the defenders could hold out for longer. Some even had rainwater catchment systems built into the roof. Because when the rest of the castle fell, the keep was supposed to be the final refuge, the medieval equivalent of going down with the ship. But here's the twist. As castles evolved, keeps became less important. By the late Middle Ages, castles developed concentric designs with strong outer walls, towers and gatehouses, all designed to resist gunpowder artillery. The keep, well, it was no longer the last line of defence. In fact, many castles built after the 13th century didn't have keeps at all. So why are we still so fascinated with keeps? Well, it's because they look like castles. They are castles. They're dramatic, towering, iconic. Even today, when you picture a castle, odds are you're picturing a keep, whether you know it or not. And that's because these weren't just functional buildings. They were statements of power, of permanence, of one family's dominance over the landscape. So the next time you walk into a castle and see a massive stone tower, remember, it wasn't just about swords and sieges. It was also a home, a monument, a message in stone. And when you're inside of it, you're standing in the beating heart of a medieval world. Being heckled by crows, sheep. What else can nature throw at me?